Hey everybody, this is Wendy with loveandstampin.com. I'm very excited that you're here with me today because I have 3 beautiful pop-up cards that we are going to make. Now, I've changed my videos. We're heading into a brand new year and I decided it was time to step up a few things. So we're going to reveal that today. And also, I want you to know the measurements for all of this are below the video, on the video, and there are free printables on my blog. So number 1, what will you need to make these? Here is your supply list. Isn't this cute? Look at the little mini me. Okay, so you're going to need all of these supplies. You need the From My Heart Designer Series paper. The paper trimmer is super important. The Heartfelt Bundle is what I'm focusing on. The lined alphabet, real red cardstock, Flirty Flamingo cardstock, Whisper White cardstock, and lined alphabet, and then these awesome gems, and Memento ink, Real Red, and Flirty Flamingo ink. And of course, the handy bone folder is a must. Supplies are listed below the video as well as on the video. The measurements. For card number 1, you're going to need the measurements that are on the screen here. If you need to write these down, you can pause the video. However, there is a free printable tutorial on my blog, so you really don't have to write them down, I promise. You can go to my blog and you can download the printable videos there. Card number 2 is these measurements. This is your pop-up box card. And you might notice that I have also provided metric measurements. This is something new that I'm doing, and I'm hoping that it helps my friends across the pond and in other, well, let's face it, anywhere else in the world, basically. And then there is a third card. These are the measurements for card number 3. And this card is very simply done, but it looks complicated and I absolutely love it. So we are going to dive right in, and we are starting with, and then you see here, I have finishing touches and the WenCran Chronicles. So WenCran is my nickname given to me by my brother-in-law, and let me talk about the card here for a second. So these are 4x4 squares, and you're scoring them at 2 inches, 2 ways, and then you're scoring on the diagonal line on one diagonal. So from one corner to another corner, but not both sides. So when you fold it, you've got your 5.5 by 8.5 here, you're going to fold. And then when you fold these pieces, you're going to fold the diagonal away from you. And then you're going to fold the other 2 score lines towards you. And the goal with this is to make those 2 side pieces go in. So you saw there how I did that, and then I'm going to repeat it with the second piece. So again, fold away, and then fold in, and again, fold in. And then we'll create those 2 pieces to go towards the middle. We're going to glue these pieces together, and then we're going to glue them into the card. And I like using the Tombow Mono Adhesive. This glue is really old. It's been around for a long time. Stampin' Up! Does sell it, but it is glue that I really haven't used much. And just recently, I'm like, this is like my new favorite glue in the whole wide world. I hope that my fingernails are not too distracting for you. They are definitely kind of wild and crazy. My goal was to have really fun New Year's Eve fingernails. I'm not sure that I accomplished that. They might be more like Halloween fingernails, but at any rate, they're sparkly, they're fun, they're different, and you know, it's 2 weeks of my life, and then they get changed. So anyway, we're going to glue that, put it inside the card as you saw, and leave it put. And then I have 2 hearts that I'm going to stamp on. Now, I do make a mistake on this card, and I will point that out to you. But the rest of this card is pretty much just layering squares. And again, those measurements were provided in the beginning of the video, and they are also provided on my blog. So this is the cool thing about this card. When you open it up, if you lay it flat, it's got kind of a cool design, and you could just lay it out flat on, this is where I make my mistake. I should have layered my Real Red and Whisper White pieces first, and instead I did the heart first. Oops, my bad. So don't do what I did. I was so excited to get the card put together for you guys that my brain just completely forgot that I needed to put those layers on. So make sure you put those layers on. Because honestly, it would have been a whole lot easier if I would have done all of my little layering pieces prior to assembly. But I was just, I don't know, it was like I was literally so excited to make this card and get it all put together that I simply, I'll turn my phone off so it doesn't ding at you again, that I simply forgot that piece. So, what else was I going to tell you? Okay, so some of you might be thinking like, oh wow, she's changed up her video. What's that about? And other things. Okay, let's talk all the things. Yeah, I changed up the intro to my videos. I'm going to attempt to keep it this way because I know when I watch a video, sometimes I want to watch a nice long video, and other times I want to just know the information I need to know really quick. And so if you just need to know the information really quick, you can watch like the first few minutes of this video and move on with your life and go print the tutorials. And if you enjoy being around for my story time or my new phrase, the WenCran Chronicles, then you can stick around. So WenCran, that comes from Wendy, Cranford, WenCran. My brother-in-law, my sister's husband, came up with that, and he has been calling me that for a long time. And when I was trying to think of something fun to call the end of my videos, which is putting my finishing touches on my cards and sharing story time, I was like, what could I call it besides story time? And Chronicles came to me, and so I said WenCran Chronicles. So there you have it. So we're going to have a little chat about things going on and continue to work on these cards. So you saw here I cut this designer series paper in half on the diagonal, and now I'm just adding it to the little triangles on the card. I'm switching it up so that there's two different designer series papers on the different sides of the card because I really wanted to showcase more than one designer series paper. You could take this as far as you wanted to. You could stamp, the possibilities are endless, but my favorite thing about this card is actually opening it all the way so that you stand it up. So I was fiddling around with having this open in the middle, and then I came up with this where you like push it backwards really hard and then you stand it up, and then it has this really cool like star effect, and whatever you have on the top like stands up on the top, and I love it. I just love how it turned out. And then you close it down and you're done. So none of these cards did I spend any time really decorating the front. So this is where I messed up. I should have layered those right here prior to putting the hearts on. Whatever, no one will know. So I didn't spend any time decorating the front. If you're a card maker, you got that. You can figure out something fun to put on the front. This was more about just showing you the different folds so that you could recreate these. I also have all the measurements for the designer series paper layers and layer pieces that I used. Again, they're at the beginning of the video, and they are in the free printables over on my blog. Okay, so here we're scoring at 2 3/4. I think it's 5 1/2, 8 1/4, and 11. And this is an 8 1/2 by 12 inch piece of cardstock, and the measurements are in metric at the beginning of the video and on my blog. I'm cutting 2 inches off the end and saving it because I need that for the insides, and then I'm scoring again at 2 3/4 of an inch. So that's the basic scoring needed to make a pop-up box card. I've made this card many, many, many times in the past, and it always turns out adorable. And so now I'm just going to add all my layering pieces on. Normally I would have cut out all of this excess, but we're leaving it in because I want to have story time. So that's how that goes. Okay, so what's new? Let's see. Christmas was wonderful. We had a really good Christmas celebration. Christmas Eve, everybody came to my house, including my best friend and her husband, and my mom, and my nephew, and my sister, and her husband, and her kids. And we had way too many snacks. I mean, yes, I know you're thinking, is there such thing as too many snacks? Yes, there are. It was ridiculous. But in my defense, and in my family's defense, we are used to having a really big crowd. So most of you know who follow me, my grandpa passed away in October. And honestly, like, I guess I'd never realized like how close our whole family was until his passing, and a lot of things have happened since. So I have one aunt, I won't name names, who has a family member who has not been kind, and so I am not on speaking terms with them, which is interesting. And then I've got another aunt who I've gotten really close to, which is unexpected because we kind of had some differences. But her family tends to go away and do different things for the holidays, which I think is fantastic if that's what makes them happy. And then my other aunt goes to Montana to see her daughter, my cousin Shannon, the one that I went on the trip with. And then there's my mom. So there's 4 of them. And yeah, so that's the status with that. So there was nobody here except my mom of all the aunts. The one aunt who I'm really don't have much to do with anymore at this point, she lives far away in another state. So she wouldn't be here anyway. So it's been interesting. Like, it's an interesting year. It's an interesting time of life. And, you know, there have been some things happened with family that's been really hard. And it's one of those things where I'm like, I would love to just go into it with you, but unfortunately some of my family members apparently occasionally watch my videos, and I just don't want to say anything that's going to offend anybody, because apparently that has happened. So whatever, it is what it is. It is what it's not. I don't know. But at the end of the day, my goal is never to hurt anybody or share anything that somebody would feel is too private. So I'm just being super cryptic because of those things, not because I'm like an open book. I would share whatever. But if it comes to somebody else's life, then I don't really feel good about sharing stuff if that's going to hurt or bother them. So there's that. So the Christmas situation was very small, but we're used to having a lot of people. And so because of that, I think we just way overdid it on the food. Like, so much food, so many sweets. It was insane. Christmas Day, same, was at my in-laws' house, and we had a wonderful time. We played Boggle, which is a really fun game. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Boggle, but it's super fun. My mom and my nephew came to my in-laws' house for Christmas Day because they literally had nobody to be with. So that's a first. Very weird. With my grandpa being gone, obviously they didn't have him to be with, so I wanted them to be with somebody. I didn't want them to be by themselves, so my mother-in-law was super gracious and invited them to be part of the Christmas celebration at her house, and it was beautiful, and we had a wonderful time. Also, I asked for an air fryer for Christmas from like everybody, and I got 2. So I'm going to return one of them, and keep the other one. So if you have any good air fryer recipes, I would totally love to get one of those. The ring I am wearing on my middle finger on my right hand was given to me by my daughter and my husband for Christmas. I admittedly desperately wanted it, told my daughter how badly I wanted it when we were out shopping, and then I got it. So that was awesome. I love big chunky rings, and I like wearing a ring on my right hand pretty much every day. So rings are like my favorite jewelry. And so they got me that, and then I got a few other fun things also. So yeah, all in all, it was a good Christmas. Different, a little weird, but good. And blessed and grateful for everything. So here you saw, when I finished the layering, I put in the 2 1-inch strips and scored them, or they were already pre-scored at each end. You just want to cut them so that there's an inch long tab on the one end. Here I'm just adding a bunch of hearts down into the card. Honestly, I would recommend using some window sheet or acetate and popping some of them up so that they came like popping up out of the box. But again, these tutorials were not really for the purpose of the decorations at the end. They were more to just show you the measurements and how to create the card versus like spending a whole bunch of time on the decorations, if that makes sense. So here you can see it folds flat and it will fit in a regular size card envelope, which is really cool. And yeah, it's good. Okay, so this is the last one. This one gave me some trouble. So I'm scoring my card base at 4 1/4. It's an 8.5 by 5.5 card base. I've got a piece of real red cardstock cut at 5 by 5, and I'm scoring it at 2.5 by 2 and 2.5 on both sides, and then doing the diagonal score. So this is much like the very first card you saw, folding it away from me and then folding it in towards me so that I have those little pinchy corners that fold in. Okay. Now we're going to add this to the middle of the card. Now, this is where things get a little tricky. Wendy made a little mistake after this part. So when I create cards like this, I create a prototype first, and I use scrap paper that's just kind of like junky paper, and I try it all out, and then I make my good card, my finished card, which is what this one would be. So I get this all adhered down into the middle, and I put this on the front because I'm like, well, it needs a little strip of DSP on the front, and I'll probably decorate it up more. But for purpose of video and time, I just wanted to get something put down on the front. The inside banner piece that we're going to do is cut at 2 by 8, 2 inches by 8 inches, and it's scored at 2, 4, and 6. So it makes 4 little panel squares. When I adhere this into the center of the card, I adhere it too deep. I'm going to try to show you what I mean, but this is something you need to know if you're making this card. So first we're going to stamp all the letters, we're going to stamp the word love, and we're going to color them. So after we get done with all of that and all the layering, then we'll finish off the card. So in the meantime, we'll go back to story time. Okay, Trudy had her little surgery. I think I told you guys about the little spot on her ear. It was a little kind of like a little mole thing, and we just wanted to get it removed just in case. Doctor doesn't think it's a big deal because she's so young. Sometimes dogs just get some weird little thing. So we had it removed, and everything went great, and I removed the stitches all by myself last Thursday. So she's doing great, and the vet bill was not totally horrendous. I mean, it wasn't cheap, but it wasn't totally horrendous. It was doable, and so that was a good thing. And so if she has any more of those in the future, then we will definitely be getting them biopsied to find out what's going on. But I think that it was just like a one and done deal. I don't foresee more issues. So here we're using dark real red Stampin' Blends to do the bottom of all of these. Then we're going in with light Stampin' Blends of the real red. And then we're going to use dark Flirty Flamingo and then light Flirty Flamingo. You guys, I always encourage you to mix up your Stampin' Blends and not just stick with one color. And a big trick for this is just sticking with cool or warm. So something that is a cool color is going to have more like blue hues to it, and something that is a warm color is going to have more like orangey hues to it. And so if you kind of stick with that when you're picking the colors that go together, you can see here they will go together very nicely. Okay, so what else is new? The Love and Stampin' monthly club that I have is going wonderfully. We have added quite a few new members, and it is open right now to add more. There's a link below the video if you're interested in checking that out. Also, you have like 2 days left to sign up and pay for the Spring Fling paper party that I'm throwing. And for those of you that are unfamiliar, that is basically a paper share, so that you get some of all the papers in the new 2020 mini catalog, but you don't have to purchase all of them. You just buy the paper share through me, and then you get a 6x6 sampler along with card kits. There's giveaways, there's Facebook Lives. It's super, super fun. So if you're interested in that, again, link below the video. Okay, so we're all done with our letters, and we have created some really cute ombre letters here using those 4 markers. And then we are going to add them to this piece here. Okay, what else is happening? I think that I feel like I've gone over everything that is going on. I have physical therapy today, the day that you're watching this, and they have now moved me into a back exercise group. So yes, I feel like I'm 95. Excuse me. But it's supposedly going to teach me how to move so that I don't injure my back again. And so we're on that journey. I don't want to go. This is Sunday night that I'm recording this video for you to see it on Monday. I don't want to go to the class, but I'm going to go. I'm going to force myself to go because it's what I should do, right? Okay, so here's important. You need to add adhesive to the top right and bottom left of the opposite sides. However, here's where we get bad, okay? There's a couple things. First thing, don't use glue. You're going to see, this is mayhem. I used the Tombow glue, and it was just a disaster because it kept moving on me. And I quickly realized this isn't going to work. You have to use tear and tape adhesive. So I held it there for a second thinking I could make it work. I go over here and I'm like, okay, I'm going to hold it down here. And it's just a disaster. So ultimately what I ended up doing is tearing it off and using tear and tape adhesive because it's a really strong adhesive. See, I'm just like, I'm so done with this. So it's a really strong adhesive. It works really well. And the only problem with tear and tape is that once it's glued down, it's down. Like you can't adjust it. So the glue is great because you can still kind of like maneuver and wiggle things around. However, it was wiggling and maneuvering around so much in a card like this that I couldn't get my placement right. So I was flustered, so I didn't pay attention. So this is very important. I put my piece back too deep. So do you see there where I adhered it? Let me show you on the side. There's a point where I'm adhering. This needs to be moved out a little further. So when I go to close it, it's too far back. It will close and it will open. And it's super cute. But it needs a little help. So had I just scooted that forward a little bit instead of adhering it so deeply back, it would open and close perfectly. So just take it as a lesson learned from me to make sure that you don't adhere it back so deeply that I did. But isn't that fun? I just love this card. Okay, so that is it. That is all I have for you. Those are the cards. I hope you enjoyed this video with your 3 card ideas, pop-up card ideas. I love the paper, love the Valentine's theme, and definitely will be using these cards to send to my little nieces and stuff because they'll love the pop-up mechanism. Okay, if you want more videos from me, click on either one you see here. Click the circle with my face in it to subscribe. Shop with me at shop11stampin.com. And in just a few days, January 3rd, the 2020 mini catalog releases, and you can order from me then. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.